Our project is the New Breed Contract Database. The group members involved in this project are Logan Nielsen, Dylan Moore, Josiah Randall, and Daniel York. Why was this topic chosen? New Breed Furniture is a specific business that experiences the problem, and since I work there, it affects the quality of my working experience directly. This means I also have an emotional investment in the problem because mundane tasks, like manually counting inventory, frustrated me enough to advocate for a solution to the problem. The solution itself could increase profit and expand production to a larger scale at New Breed by making the production process faster and more efficient. There is also the potential for a final product to be marketed to other businesses and for the solution to become profitable intellectual property. This is our objective problem statement. John Lindsay, the owner of New Breed Furniture in Kenosha, Wisconsin, experiences an inefficient use of time and money when it comes to organizing labor for makers, tracking the progress of production, and paying makers for the labor. This loss of time during the last 8 months is due to the current method for monitoring information in manual spreadsheets, which makes up about 5% of a maker's time spent on production. Loss of time and money can be attributed to manual inventory spreadsheets because they are confusing and redundant, with time being devoted to correcting errors in the inventory logs, a loss of progress, and an inability to obtain a clear picture of the state of production and productivity as a whole in the business. Now for the history. To utilize production time most efficiently, the bare minimum amount of training has been put into training makers. Because of this, lots of costly mistakes are made and production rate is stunted. Manually tracking counts of inventory is also problematic because it wastes numerous amounts of time not only counting, but communicating back and forth with spreadsheets and other makers. Production rate suffers from this as well because time that could have been spent producing components is lost to redundant, repetitive counting. The spreadsheets that currently store manual counts of inventory are cluttered and make it difficult to understand. This makes it extremely difficult to obtain a clear picture of the inventory and stage of production. In addition to the problem of minimal training, hourly pay discourages a fast production rate. Makers fail to meet deadlines often or they take longer than necessary to produce furniture. Now for our business problem statement. New Breed Furniture is suffering from a critical mismanagement problem due to the inadequate tools the owner has access to, such as manual spreadsheets and pay-per-hour payment methods. These problems result in a drastic loss in both money efficiency and time efficiency, as workers need to devote time to catching up the inventory logs instead of producing more products. Additionally, a pay-per-hour pay scale does not motivate workers to complete the work given to them, as the amount of pieces they make is not relevant to how much they are paid.
So, for our justification portion of the project, we looked at both aspects of our problem, which included how to manage New Breed's inventory better and develop a better solution for the pay based on performance. The first article that I read about aimed to distinguish that higher levels of inventory management practice can lead to an increased competitiveness over the competing market. It also showed that inventory investment in small businesses takes up a big percentage of the total budget, yet inventory control is one of the most neglected management areas. The second article focused on the benefits and struggles of what a pay for performance scale might look like. It found that there was a 30% increase on the productivity of the workers, but it might lead to a more stressful environment, which might cause workers to cycle in and out of the job faster. So our system easily navigates and assigns workers to their jobs. That makes it easier for John to control inventory while increasing production.
So now on to the existing solutions part of this research project. And so during our research, we determined that there are no patents available for this topic because the concept of a retrievable database and even the contract system we have in place isn't protectable, and you can't really get a patent for it because it's so widespread. So, due to this, we've resorted to avoiding patents in any way in this existing solutions part. And we're going to look at products that are on the market currently or things that you can pay a subscription service for instead, because that's the only thing that we can actually compare to. So, our first example is stock auditing. And stock auditing is a process that every company has to go through at least once a year, where physical inspectors come to their building and they make sure all of the digital assets and the digital numbers that say what the company has matches what they actually have in reality. And so there are many processes, there are many apps online that help to record data from the machines and from the factories that produce things. So things like daily cycle counting and all of these programs reduce human error and provide accurate, up to date inventory data so that when the physical inspectors get to the building, they already know what they're going to look for. And there's no room for human error here. It tracks everything in real time. However, it's hard to turn production into data without human intervention, so it's not all automatic because there still requires human intervention. So next we have SAP Integrated Planning, and it's basically an inventory app that you can get on your computer and you can install for your business. And it's coupled with a ton of business analytics and software like that that allows you to really see what makes your business tick and what generates you the most money. So that's pretty nice because it has a lot of predictive capabilities and model analytics, but it's pretty expensive and requires a reliance on company software to provide cloud-based servers. So that's how they monetize it. So next up, we've got Sortify, which is a lot like the last one we showed you, but it's been ported to phones, and it's an app that you can download on the App Store or Google Play Store. So that's really nice because it's extremely accessible and anyone can open it anytime, anywhere. And it also incorporates a lot of really nice UI design elements to make it very fun to use, very easy to use, and just an overall good app. However, it requires constant updating by every person who does something to the parts from the inventory, and so there's no form of automation here. It has to be like a trust system. So here we have Visual Job Shop, which is a software that's basically an all-purpose business app. It houses everything from hours worked from every employee to inventory to sales even, and pretty much anything in between. And it's all updated automatically, so there's no room for human error, which is pretty sweet. However, the main downside we saw to this program is that it's extremely unintuitive, and it looks like it was made in Windows 98 by Bill Gates himself. So that's one area that we could definitely improve upon, this concept that works pretty well. So last up, we have DoorDash, and if you haven't heard of it, it's an app that you can get on your phone that allows you to take custom deliveries from a restaurant to the people that ordered them. And it's all done through an app, so everyone's kind of their own independent contractor of sorts. So it's really good for getting a lot of people into the industry and a lot of people dashing from place to place, giving orders done. However, each of these employees do not have any training or commitment to this business, and so anything can happen on the road, and that's an area that we think we can improve on as well. So, taking inspiration from all of those previous examples, our solution can be best described as a DoorDash for production. And so, our whole grand plan for this is that any new person can sign up on the New Breed Furniture website and receive training and a new job within the day. And so the next day, they can come into work and then get paid on a pay per performance pay scale, or basically pay for what they do, not for how long they work. And this drastically increases productivity because of the pay per performance pay scale, and also opens up the business to a whole new labor market because it's way easier to hire more people. And now moving on to web design concepts. These are some rules we want to follow to make our user interface a little bit easier to use for everyone. So our first is related to attention. 100 simple screens are better than one cluttered one. If you have one giant cluttered screen with a ton of buttons on it, no one's going to know how to use it or what each button does. So it's much better to split menus up in between many screens to make it easier to use. Also, discoverability being another aspect is that anyone should be able to use 100% of the functions of a website without preparation. So anyone who's new to your website should know exactly how to use all of it without training, without videos. And so our last concept is depth without complexity, having as many website functions on it with the minimal amount of programming and input required from the user. So basically making it as wide and usable as possible with the least amount of programming and the least amount of effort required from the person who's using it.
The experts that helped us along with this project and helped us define and create a new system for New Breed Furniture was John Lindsay and Patrick. Meeting with John helped us create an outline of what was needed in the solution through an experienced business owner. He wanted things like book time, contracted labor, and the production statistics that are trackable by the consumer. Through Patrick, we were able to distinguish a game plan that allowed us to all work on different pieces of the puzzle, which would all come together in the end. This project consisted of a model view controller which outlined the functionality of how to create this solution. Me and Logan worked on the database for the website, which was the model through processes of creating tables that stored statistical data about the workers and contracts. Josiah worked on the view, which was how the website would look and the layout of each component that would be able to interact with the database and the number flow from the model. Dan worked on the controller aspect of the solution, which took visuals and its work that Josiah made and combined it with me and Logan's work. So here you can see the types of code needed for the functionality of the project. Me and Logan used SQL for the database, Josiah used HTML and CSS, and Dan used C#. So these all had stages. Stage 1, put the core features in place. Stage 2, improve and expand the UI compatibility and add secondary features. And stage 3, fix bugs and finalize the design. So for our design concepts and parameters, we had to make a solution in a way that allowed John's workers to be efficient at using the website. Whether it was navigating through it or learning how to record metrics about the work performance, it had to be simple but effective in New Breed. So for Logan's design proposal, in the first image, he created a solution that starts with the worker's schedule for the day, in which you would choose a max of 3 contracts, in which they allow you to see different types of phases that the contract is in. The second image uses a home page that shows contracts, the schedule, and inventory, which splits it off into different assemblies and sub-assemblies, which we found that was a big task for the time we had. So with Josiah's proposals, he based his first design on an app which has a selection screen that shows the available contracts and active contracts, parts, and submitting to a change order, which separates into data that is inputted by the worker, such as searching for a part with a part number. Josiah's second design is a contract-based app that has a login page with your profile status, and after signing in, it allows you to pick from the contracted list with the part description and CAD models. The third image is a simple diagram that shows you the contract page in a minimalist design with viewing the contracts and adding them. In my first design, I based mine on a contract-based system that allows you to sign off on a work order that is most important to ship. Then it walks you through what is needed and how to make it through the user interface. In my second design, it allows you to clock in and out of the app and then pick jobs based on the type of machine that you are most comfortable with, thinking that this might be a faster way to get the jobs done while being friendly to the worker. So Dan's proposal shows how his user interface might look with a CAD drawing, the name of the product, the date, and a percentage of completion for that job.
After figuring out what our project was going to be and talking to John what he wanted, we decided that we needed help with learning how to code as we didn't know how to do it. Once we figured out who we were going to contact for help, which would be Patrick, our good friend Patrick, we would have each designated person given a specific code to learn, with Josiah learning HTML, Logan and Dylan learning SQL, and me learning C#. Initially, when we started learning how to code, we had our specific ways of when things were going to get done with the coding, with Logan and Dylan learning SQL at the same time of Josiah learning his HTML and me learning C#, but I wouldn't be able to start working on the actual project itself, be it prototype or final, until I had a working version of both the HTML and SQL code that I could merge together and make into its own thing. That changed, however, as time went on, into me working on the code at the same time as Josiah working on his HTML code. And for our budget, we didn't use any of it, with it being a max of $400 being the money we could use. Originally, when we started making the website, we had multiple different pages for the contracts, employees, and creating contracts and accepting contracts. But as time went on, we found out that all the third party and extra coding that we would have to do would be useless and completely just way too much time being spent on something that wouldn't be needed at all, because of the fact that we could just make it all into one page for the contracts being accepted and created, with the creation option only being available for John and or other admins slash owners of the company. While the only people who would be able to accept contracts are the people who have registered for working in New Breed. When it comes to the actual site itself, this is what a new person would see when they first go onto the site, with the normal contract listings ranging from tables, chairs, benches, things of the sort like that. And for what John would be able to do, if he wanted to add a contract, you click on New, and this would only be available to him. Once John had his selected contract that he made available, this is something he'd be able to see with things such as edit, being able to go in and edit the details, saying such thing for date finish, say if he wanted it to be done sooner, or he can push back the date, say because of downtime, or it's not needed as soon, or values and things of the sort like that. For the makers, this is where the employees would be added, for John to have a list of everyone who has both made an account and that he is accepted in. For people who want to make an account, they would click on register, and they'd be set up with something similar to this. They just put in their email, the password they would like, and then confirm the password, and then the rest would be sent to John. After this, he would give them their name and last name, and then when they want to log in, it'd be as simple as email and password. They wouldn't be able to accept the contract, however, until John accepts them. So, say if there is a person, let's name John Doe, username John Doe, password Doe, role maker, and then create. This would pop up in the same area, but it'd have an accept and reject feature, and that feature would also be available in the contracts area, but it wouldn't have the reject button, it'd only have the accept. If the person clicks accept, then it will no longer be available for other workers. They won't be able to accept it, and it won't be added to their listing.
This is our summary. Takeaways. Book time and actual pay-for-performance metrics have yet to be researched and implemented into the project, so it can't be used in a working setting quite yet. However, the platform itself has all the core functions it needs to be successful. We have decided to continue development of the project into the summer as paid contractors. Things that need to get done include payment method integration and researching the amount paid for each job, adding available statistics on maker production rate and performance, HTML rework to better fit the branding of New Breed, adding woodworking concepts to contracts to provide more depth, and also make each contract that is accepted visible to everyone. Before we close out of the presentation, we would like to give a special thanks to a couple of people. First, Patrick McKay. He devoted countless hours in and out of school to give us the tools we needed to succeed in developing the solution we came up with. Without his dedication and help with the project, we would not have been able to develop a solution of this quality. Second, we would like to thank John Lindsay. He provided valuable background on the problem and supported us along the way with guidance. His goals for the future of his business helped us narrow down our ideas and come up with a solution that would be worthwhile to him. And that is all for our presentation.